Mr. Ryan, fancy meeting you in the bamboo grove.
Well, you know, we are at Mount Macedon. It's renowned for its bamboo groves.
It is. Welcome. We are the Horti-Culturalists. We do post every week, so do hit subscribe if you want to follow our continuing journeys of rare and unusual plants. And we're in your bamboo grove, because one of the things I did notice about your garden is you have so many types of bamboo.
Yes.
Why is that?
Well, obviously I like them.
Obviously you're a bamboo lover.
Yes, so I do love the plant. For some reason or another, I possibly could be being sort of a bit contrary as well, because any plant that has bad PR, I'm inclined to come on board with.
There you go. Really?
Yeah. Oh yes, yeah. I hate
like
it when...
Marie Antoinette. She's had a bad rap for centuries, that
yeah,
woman.
well, exactly, yes. Well, let them eat bamboo. But I have to say, groups of plants that people have a preconceived idea about, they tend to then cast
Dismiss.
everything in with the one sort of habit, and it's not the case. I mean, it's a wonderful group of plants.
Which kind of has echoes of aureocaulis, a story we made a while ago, which I will link here. Another, a group of plants with a bad rap that you love.
Yes, exactly. So there you go.
Well, I think we should do a bamboo tour of your garden, which is called...
Togurium.
Togurium. What does that mean?
It's Latin for hovel or mean dwelling.
And this is neither a hovel nor a mean dwelling.
Yeah.
But let's go and explore your bamboo groves.
What a good idea.
Okay, Mr. Ryan, this is a beauty. It has very black stems. Is that what we're calling them?
No.
Wrong!
If you're growing bamboo, the stems are actually called culms. C-U-L-M-S.
Culms, okay.
Or culm in the singular. Bamboo does have a whole range of terminology that applies to it and it only. So sometimes you've got to get used to those. So if we think of the stems as culms, that's straightforward enough.
Okay.
And there's two basic styles of bamboo.
Yes.
There's the clumping bamboos,
Yes.
which by name mean that they stay in a nice, neat clump.
Yes.
The clump itself might eventually get quite large, but they don't run. And the other group, of course, is the running bamboo.
Now, they're the bamboos with the bad rap.
Yes.
They're the bamboos that people think are all bamboos. They're going to take over your garden, go crazy, and become a pest.
And they can.
So it's true.
It is, to an extent, it is true. The problem with running bamboos is that people don't manage them.
Yeah.
And if you manage them carefully, they can be a great asset to a garden. Obviously, don't plant them right on a boundary fence of a neighbour's, because they'll go straight under the fence and you won't have any control over them.
Yeah.
And nor will you have any control over your neighbours when they have it popping up all over their garden. So if you're going to plant running bamboos, you need to manage them carefully.
Yeah.
And I sort of look at it from the perspective that I'm perfectly happy to get the lawnmower out and cut the grass once a week in the growing season.
Yeah.
It takes me an hour or so.
Yeah.
It's just part of the normal management of my garden. If I have to go out and manage my bamboos once or twice a year and perhaps spend an hour or so on any given group of bamboo, I see the benefits I get from that are more than well and truly covered by the time involved.
So you're saying then to manage a running bamboo is a couple of times a year, about an hour's worth of work?
In general, yes. It depends on the particular species and all that sort of stuff, but it is about management.
Interesting. Now, so what is this one that we're clutching here?
All right, this is classically known as black bamboo. It's one of the Japanese bamboos.
Yep.
It's botanically called Phyllostachys nigra.
Yep.
Nigra meaning black.
Black.
Yep. So
Phyllostachys. Who is Phil?
Yes. So Phyllostachys nigra is a well-known bamboo. It is a running bamboo. It's one of those that will lead you along with a false sense of security, because the first few years in the ground it'll sit there and look like a clumping bamboo, and then suddenly it'll come up 2 meters away.
Ooh.
So it builds strength over a period of time.
And you would grow this obviously for the culm being black.
Yes, its biggest claim to fame.
But some are green, some are black. Do they age and turn black?
Yes, they age to black. They start off green, so you don't panic when green ones start coming up. It hasn't returned.
I bought a black bamboo.
Yeah. Now, but I'd like to point out that you know, people will immediately say, well, then why plant a running bamboo if you can have a tame and clumping bamboo?
Yes, good question.
And there are reasons. There are definite reasons why you would go one way or the other.
Yeah.
Clumping bamboos by nature make a clump, so they can't make a grove. So you just have...
There might be a very subtle difference between a clump and a grove. But...
No, it's not that subtle, because a grove is a spread out colony of bamboo stems that you can actually see through. A big enough grove you can actually walk into. It's about
what you want
uses.
In terms of the landscaping and the sculpturality.
Yeah, exactly. I would use a clumping bamboo along a boundary line for screening purposes.
Yeah.
But within my property, I would probably consider planting some of the running bamboos and then doing the right thing about managing them.
And one of the ways you can manage them, you can grow a lot of bamboos in pots and tubs and containers. So a running bamboo, for example, this one, because of the black culm, which is so beautiful, I would imagine wanting to grow that in a pot so that you really got that black statement of culmness.
You can. The issue with growing bamboos in pots is bamboo's tough old stuff, and so it will cope with an incredible amount of neglect, but it will look crappy at the same time. You know, unless you're managing your bamboos in pots, watering them well, feeding them well, what I call pruning, as in cleaning them up and making sure any dead culms are gone.
We'll get to that though.
If you're doing all those things, then you can keep a bamboo in a pot looking quite respectable. It'll never get as big or as tall or as grand as one in the ground. So if you're looking for that sort of effect, then you really have no choice but to plant it out.
Okay, and obviously some bamboos are better tub specimens than others.
Undoubtedly. Some of the smaller growing ones are obviously far better. And I guess the one advantage of a bamboo in a pot, unlike a tree or a shrub, which will eventually become root bound, and then you'll have to either pot it on into something bigger, or if it's got to a point where you can no longer do that, then you'll need to plant it out or give it away. A bamboo, when that happens to it, you can actually slice it into 2 or 4 pieces and plant one back. So you can keep recycling.
There you go.
What I'm going to say in a pot.
Well, we might have a closer look at the base of this running bamboo, and you can talk us through how you would control it.
Yeah. All right,
okay.
Good.
Let's have a look.
All right. Here we are. Now, you can see here, if you look closely, there's a new culm coming up from below the ground. So that's a bamboo shoot.
Yes.
And if it was an edible variety, that might be just the thing you take off
to
eat. Yes, exactly. Now, it's coming up in the colony of the existing bamboo clump.
And it's right in the middle, in fact.
Yes, it's right in the middle. So a piece like that, I would probably leave to become part of that colony. But if in fact that one had come out further out than I actually want, well then I would go through with a sharp tool.
Somewhere around the edge.
Yeah, somewhere around the edge. I would go through with the sharp tool, cut through the rhizome and peel it out of the ground.
And that's how you control the runningness.
That's how you control the runningness, either by just going straight through where you know there's a culm, or you dig a trench around it, cutting through the culms as you go. Now you'll notice that the main body of the bamboo is over here. I've got another colony that's popped up of its own accord here. I'm leaving it because it actually then demarcates the edge of a path, so it suits me to leave it where it is. If it was coming up where I didn't want it, I would then dig it out, and I would use this tool here, which is sold as a slammer. I call it my bamboo thwacker, and it is actually really simple to actually cut right down through the rhizomes of a bamboo. So it's made my life seriously easy. And this is it.
Okay, Mr. Ryan, I think we're done with the black bamboo.
We have, and we've talked about managing the rhizomes, which are the thing that make the running bamboos take over the world. There's some other management issues that I'd like to have a look at. So let's go and check out one of the other species.
And what tools do we need?
Mainly a pair of secateurs.
Okay, let's go.
All right. All right, here we have another colony of running bamboo. This one is Phyllostachys nigra borea, the tiger bamboo, and it needs some adjustments to the plant. And there's 2 things I'm going to do in here. One is I'm going to completely remove any broken, spent or small redundant stems, and this one here is a small redundant stem which we'll be taking out. The other thing we'll be doing is cleaning up the sides of the culms to show them off nicely, so we'll be cutting off all the little side branches. So I go right down into here and you cut as close to the ground as possible and take the whole stem away. The other job that I like to do with my bamboos is to remove the little fluffy pieces of stem off the culms. And the reason I do it is so that I can lift the canopy up above my head and then I can show off the beautiful stems of the bamboo. And some of them have really wonderful culms. It is a shame to hide them under their foliage. So all I will do is I'll go through and snip off these little tiny shoots on the sides of the stem and clean it up to above head height so that I can see the value of these beautiful culms, like so.
Mr. Ryan, this is a beauty. Look at the colour of those culms.
It is the most stunning bamboo I think I have in the garden. It's also a running bamboo, so I do have to manage it.
Yeah.
And it revels under the name of Phyllostachys vivax aureocaulis.
Oh my God. Oreo means gold.
Gold, yes, and calis is to do with the stem. So it makes sort of sense.
We can put 2 and 6 together and get 24.
Yeah.
Oh, look at the sun through the
Yes,
culms.
the culms.
It's beautiful. So this is a great example of why you would trim these lower little
Yes.
branches off.
By doing so, you expose these beautiful stems or culms so that they can be appreciated.
And it becomes very sculptural. So this then becomes a good question. Where would you use, and why would you use bamboo in a landscape plan?
All right. Well, there's a lot of reasons for planting bamboo, including the running bamboos.
Yeah.
I mean, I mentioned before the fact that they create a grove-like effect, which you can't do with many plants.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, it's really important. They also have great verticality in a garden, so they give you wonderful vertical lines.
Yeah.
The other thing I love about bamboo too, and it's one of those things that people don't tend to think about or engage with, is the fact that they move in the wind. So there is a sense of movement in a garden when you've got bamboo, and they rustle.
Yes, and it's a windy day today, and it is very beautiful.
Yeah,
very beautiful.
so they do some things that you can't get out of any other group of plants.
Yeah.
And in passing, I'd just like to mention something else that people don't think about.
Yes, in passing, what could that be?
And that is the fact that I am completely self-sufficient in bamboo canes for my vegetable garden and
So
for
true.
staking plants around the garden.
So the other thing is, they are incredibly fast growing, are they not?
They are. Bamboos have spurts. So unlike trees and shrubs which tend to grow incrementally, bamboos grow from below ground level every time they grow, and they'll do nothing for a while, and then suddenly at whatever time of the year that particular bamboo is active, it will suddenly send up these new culms from ground level, and it can actually in a matter of weeks outstrip the previous culms from the year before if it's built up enough oomph underneath it to do that.
So in the right context, bamboo is an incredibly effective screen.
It can be
a fast screen, as
If
long
you
as
need
you
a-
understand it's clumping or running and you're managing that.
Yeah, exactly. And in fact, the clumping bamboos are becoming something of a sought-after plant for exactly that. Because of their verticality and because that you know the size the clump is going to grow to, they can actually make a wonderful screen from neighbours. So you can hide yourself behind the bamboo curtain.
And they're very elegant. They are very elegant. So let's talk about climate. So we associate bamboos with China and Japan, but are they common throughout the world? Where are they native in other spots?
Well, we even have some Northern Australian native bamboos, so they are, again, probably one of these more or less cosmopolitan groups of plants.
I love a cosmopolitan plant, like the oxalis.
You like the
Something
oxalis?
else you're interested
So
in?
there's bamboos from extremely cold climates.
Yeah.
There are obviously a lot of tropical bamboos.
Yeah.
So it's really a matter of selecting the right variety for your particular climatic zone.
But they do exist, even if you're in an incredibly cold climate in northern USA, northern Europe.
I saw a bamboo garden in the Van Dusen Botanic Gardens in Vancouver.
Ooh, cold.
Cold. So they had a whole bamboo garden there, and obviously they were growing the cold hardy ones. There wasn't a tropical bamboo to be seen, but anywhere in the world you can probably grow collections of bamboo.
Interesting. Now, are they all sun lovers? Do they all need to be in fairly exposed positions?
No, there's many of particularly some of the Himalayan clumping bamboos are very good in the shade.
I've got one. What is it? The blue?
Oh, the Nepalese blue.
Nepalese blue, which is a shade-loving clumper, and I've got it growing in pots.
Yeah, it's really a matter of selecting the right bamboo from the perspective of whether it's a shade or a sun lover. It's also important to select the right bamboo as tall, height you're looking for, width of clump.
Yeah.
And in fact, I would always recommend that if you are considering using bamboo in your garden, please talk to somebody who actually understands the group. If you just go into a general garden centre and buy the clump of bamboo they've got sitting there, unless they can tell you about it and give you some really in-depth information, you could be planting a nightmare.
And nurturing a nightmare.
Yeah.
So the moral of that story is find your own Stephen Ryan.
Well, not necessarily me, but there are a lot of bamboo specialist nurseries out there. If you have a good nursery owner nearby, they should know enough about the bamboos they're stocking to be able to give you the right advice.
There you go. So ask. But it's amazing. There is a bamboo For everyone.
and for almost every purpose.
Excellent. Well, let's go and look at another interesting, smaller Japanese one that I spotted, which is stunning.
Yeah, beautiful. Let's go and have a look.
This is the one I saw. So this is kind of near the entrance to your house. It's so beautiful. It's quite low to the ground. What's this one?
Well, this one is another running bamboo, and a lot of people are frightened of this genus. It's a genus called Sasa.
Sasa?
Which is actually Japanese for bamboo. And the Sasas are viciously running bamboos, but they have a thin rhizome, and they don't go terribly deep, so they are actually quite manageable.
Easy to control.
If you plant this one in dry shade, that tends to hold it back as well, so it's less likely to become invasive.
Now, the leaves of this, when I first saw it, I just assumed it was variegated. But it's not, you said.
No, the edges of the leaves are actually dead tissue, so it's desiccated around the edge, which it does naturally in the wild. So from a distance it looks variegated, and it makes a fabulous feature in the shade.
It really
because
is
of that.
Beautiful, yeah.
Now, because it's a dwarfish bamboo, it doesn't get big heavy stems on it, and you do have to manage it. And what you do with it is in the spring, round about in Southern Hemisphere, I'd say September, you cut the whole plant back to ground level, and it will send up new shoots from below ground level. The foliage will be straight green. And then by late summer, early autumn, the edges will start to form again, so you'll end up with those desiccated edges which give the variegated look. And it's a fabulous plant.
It is. So it's a Japanese native?
Yes.
And fairly hardy then, given it's Japanese?
Cold hardy as they come.
There you go.
So this would probably be in the Van Dusen Botanic Gardens in Vancouver.
It's a stunner.
Yeah, and it really is pretty, but a lot of people are really scared of Sasas. There are gardens in England and Ireland where some of the other species of Sasas have taken over acreage.
Right.
So it is a plant that needs to be planted with care, and it needs to be managed, but it's beautiful.
Could you grow this one in a pot?
Oh, ideal. It'd be great in a pot, because you could just divide it up every so often and replant a small one back. So it's absolutely perfect for a pot.
It's beautiful. Okay, on to the next.
Yes, let's go. All right, this is a really interesting running bamboo, again a dwarf variety that grows well in dry shade, and it's Indocalamus tessellatus, and it has about the biggest leaf of any bamboo, and so it makes a rather good tropical effect in the garden. And apparently the Chinese use the leaves for making dumplings with, so they roll their dumplings in them and cook them. So there you go, another little cottage industry for your own garden. This will grow in the coldest of climates. It's not a tropical bamboo, so it probably won't do well in Queensland, for instance sake. But in the cooler climates, it's perfectly growable. Just be aware that it is quite a strong running bamboo. So again, dry shade is the best place to keep it, or in a large tub where it will actually virtually hang out over the pot.
Now, Mr. Ryan, what do we have before us?
Well, I thought we should finish off with a clumping bamboo so that people can see the differences between the two groups. You can see that this particular one here is a dense, full clump, and the clump is probably 1.5 meters across, so it needs to have enough space to show itself off. And this particular one is known colloquially as Himalayan weeping bamboo, and it does have a lovely elegant weeping form.
A beautiful form.
Now it's botanically known as Drepanostachyum falcatum.
Bamboo seems to have somewhat complex names.
They are, and in fact the trouble with bamboo is that their names are being redefined every minute practically, because many bamboos don't flower until they're 60 or 80 or 100 years old, and then when they do that they promptly die afterwards. Most plants are named from the features of their flowering parts, and so a lot of bamboos have been named without actually having been flowered, and they may turn out to be something completely different.
How fascinating. Wow, I'd never realised that. There you go. Now, here's another thing then. We've looked at some of your dwarf bamboos. Now, sometimes ornamental grasses can look very similar. So what is the intrinsic difference between the grass? Because bamboo is grass, isn't it? It's part of the same family.
I was going to say that is bamboo in fact is a grass, so in one sense there's
no difference.
But generally speaking, bamboos are considered bamboos because most of them have woody stems, or what we've now learned are culms. Whereas grasses tend not to have any woodiness to them, so therefore they're more a herbaceous type of plant, and that's the basic principal difference. There are some tropical bamboos that are basically grass-like and don't have woody stems, but in general bamboos of whatever size have a woody stem.
Well, Mr. Ryan, thank you for Bamboo 101. That was very interesting.
I hope people weren't completely bamboozled. Sorry.
That's a really cheap and bad pun. Isn't the habitat there so beautiful?
It's
just
gorgeous.
stunning. So people need to reconsider bamboos.
They do, and they also need to remember to subscribe.
Yes, we post every week, so do hit subscribe if you are loving our adventures and want to hear more. What could we possibly do next week?
Well, it won't be bamboos.
It won't, but there'll be something else interesting. So we look forward to seeing you next week.
Bye all.